Hi, welcome to Rebirth Radio. Hold on, I need to pour myself some tea because today we're having tea time chats. And as you can see, I received a nice new teapot. So, what do I have in store for you today? Well, I think what I have in store for you today is going to be pretty interesting. What I have for you today is, of course, going along with what I said in the last tea time chat. The me, you, us. So first, so you can find out more about me, I love languages. That's probably my favorite thing to do. I think I said this in the first tea time chats, but more recently, since I began high school, I began really studying my languages, and my languages all started off with, well, I guess technically it started off with English, but my languages really started off about 9 years ago with Japanese, and from there it really just took off. So Japanese is very easy, and I'm going to tell you about a few languages that I really enjoy learning, and if I can, I will introduce myself in those languages, and for most languages I do have my own name in that language. So, English, hi, my name is Mr. Rebirth. Nice to meet you. Japanese, which I started off with my brother, who is in the podcast that we will begin very soon. We started watching this Japanese TV show called Kamen Rider, or in Japanese it would be Kamen Rider, and it's for kids technically, but it's kind of like Power Rangers, but it just seems better. But start off with that, and so from there I took a deep interest in Japanese language and Japanese culture. I watched a lot of anime, but then after a while I stopped watching it because it doesn't really teach me. I don't get to learn the type of Japanese I want. The Japanese people don't use a normal conversation. Like nobody's running around saying, "I'm gonna kill you," just out of nowhere. Because technically in Japanese those are curse words, so you wouldn't use those all the time. But the way I introduce myself in Japanese is depending on who you're talking to, because of course there's levels of formality that you would use. So my more formal one is こんにちは。僕の名前はミスターリーバースです。よろしくお願いします。And if I'm introducing myself in an extremely informal way, it would be こんにちは、俺の名はミスターリーバースだ。よろしくお願いします。It's pretty informal. The ore, all that stuff is informal. But then, Japanese is my favorite language to speak. Sometimes it's actually easier to communicate in Japanese than it is English, which I don't always understand that, but it happens. Last year I do ask my Japanese teacher something, and the words wouldn't formulate in English. I had to say something like, "When is the meeting?" and "Oh, when do you meet up for the field trip?" And I couldn't formulate the words. I couldn't get field trip anything. And then my Japanese teacher said, "Just say it in Japanese, it'll come out easier." And without thinking, I just said it in Japanese. So Japanese is, I'm fluent enough in Japanese to hear a random person on the street speaking Japanese and have a full conversation with them, which I've done many times. But Japanese is my first language, and then my second favorite language to speak is Spanish. And Spanish is, you learn it in class, but I have Mexican family members, and so I decided to take my Spanish speaking more seriously. So To introduce yourself, most people probably know this because you kind of have to learn it in primary school. It is Hola, me llamo Mr. Rebirth. I haven't spoken. I haven't had to introduce myself. Everybody who I speak Spanish to knows me. Hola, me llamo What is it? Hola, me llamo Mr. Rebirth. I don't know how to say. Nice to meet you. We'll say it in French. Enchanté. Something like that. I don't speak French. I don't like the pronunciation stuff. It's it's more difficult than like my Asian languages. My next language is Chinese, which a lot of these languages I'm teaching myself, which is very difficult. Especially languages like Chinese, where it's easy. It's nice to have somebody to speak to face to face. But in Chinese, to introduce myself, I'm pretty sure I can do this one. It's 你好，我叫崇旅展，很高兴认识你. Chinese is very, very pronunciation based, and the pronunciation is not fun to learn for any of the words. There's one word that comes to mind, which is ben. It can be said 4 different ways for each 4 tone. The tones are down, up, down and up, and then like a monotone tone. I guess I forget what they're called. But they're very difficult to learn. And saying them, the word ben is, so saying ben, 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 ben are 4 different words. One of those means idiot. I'm not sure which one. So, that's a thing. But those are my main languages. Chinese. The language. I love learning languages. That's my probably my passion is learning languages. English is my native language. Japanese is my secondary language. Spanish, I'm learning. I can probably speak more. I can understand much more Spanish than I can Chinese. Chinese is next. Then Korean, I'm learning as well. But languages are a lot of fun. But that's enough about me. Let's move on to you. So, for you, here's my thing. Quiet time every day. So of course, right now it's kind of everything's slow, so it's not as loud. You're kind of at home, which means that it's probably going to be easier to do this. My arms look like they're not attached to anything unless quiet time every day is very. It's not that it's not important, but it's not pertinent that you do it every day. If you do it most days, then it's gas time. But if you can't do it most days, then it's fine. So quiet time every day is sitting there, not doing anything. I mean, just sitting there, like how this is not necessarily quiet time because I'm speaking, but drinking, just sit there, drink a nice pot of tea, and just be alone with your thoughts. See, in today's society, we are quite scared to be alone with our thoughts because they have become so distraught a lot of times. Some people can be alone with their thoughts, but not everybody has that ability. And tea is very useful for it because depending on what tea you use, it has a subtle flavor. You can focus on the flavor. But tea is what I use to focus. Also meditation. Meditating is very, very useful. I do it before my exams. But I mean, quiet time, sit there, think, be alone with our thoughts. We're scared to be alone with our thoughts. We need to distract ourselves with music or videos. Even when we're alone, we feel like we need it, but we don't. We have the ability to be alone with our thoughts. We're just too scared to, and that's the problem. That's why we have lost some brain functions, not functions, but normal. That's why some people have lost common sense. People do stupid things. There's things like daredevils. There's people like daredevils, which I don't think that they do stupid things. I think that they are thrill seekers, and that's how they get that's their drive for doing things. So I think that's fine. But common sense is gone for a lot of things, and people do stupid things all the time. But quiet time can help you relax, think about things. It helps you line everything up. Think about it. You have, say, this is your quiet time, right? This is your quiet time. Well, the tea is the quiet time. The cup is everyday life. You have to go through everyday life to get to the quiet time. So, figure out a way to fit it into your schedule and let it flow. And then, you have your quiet time. Last is us, for you and myself. And I'm just going to ask you the question. The question is, I'm going to look over here because I have it written down because I didn't remember it. What or who would you be if you knew you could not fail? What or who would you be if you knew you couldn't fail? I know that if I could be anything right now I'd probably want to go into voice acting. Because as I showed you in the last episode, I love doing voice impressions, and voice acting is different. Rather than having a vocal, well, you have to have a vocal range, but rather than that being the most important thing, it is emotion. You have to be able to act, but with your voice, and it's a lot of fun. They're unpaid, but I have a few, I guess, gigs. One of them is Japanese, or I have one gig, and one of them is Japanese, and I have to translate the lines, and I'm playing. It's a comic dub. I'm doing Spider-Man. So I think right now what I would want to be is a voice actor. If I could not fail, either maybe a mixed martial artist because I enjoy martial arts. I mean, look, I love martial arts. It's a lot of fun, but also maybe a astrophysicist. No, I've loved astrophysics since I was space since I was a kid, and so now I took astronomy my freshman year of high school, and I found it very interesting, but I kind of lost touch with it. I became interested in the medical field, and so I kind of I have a lot of gears towards biology and stuff in my high school life, and right now, I'm thinking that that's not that's not necessarily what I want to do. It's hard to figure it out, but to figure out who we want to be, that's a good question. Is who would you be if you couldn't fail? I might actually. Voice acting is great. I would love to do that. That would be great. MMA, that's cool. I mean, not necessarily something I would want to make a career out of. But one thing that I do love is food. And I also don't want to be like rich. I want to have enough money to not just to get by, but to be able to get by and have a few nice things. Have like a nice teapot, be able to buy tea whenever I want it. Have a nice laptop, have internet, and all that blah 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 stuff. But one thing I want is just to own a pizza restaurant. I really do enjoy the taste. I really enjoy pizza. But I mean, having a pizza restaurant is very nice. I accidentally made a lot of tea and I have no one to share it with, so I have to drink a whole pot of tea by myself during my quiet time, but it's okay. And the cups after the first cup always taste better because they have steeped with the tea. Unless you let the tea steep for too long, and then it might get a little bitter. But that's one thing that we can all work on is our tea and who we want to be if we could not fail. That's my question to you. And that also, with the pouring of a new cup, means the start of a new moment. I guess that's how we're going to do it from now on. Pouring of a new cup means the start of a new moment, and that means for myself and for you. So, I will allow you to go And, comment down below on who you would want to be if you could not fail. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe if you want to. That's up to you. You can watch these videos. You don't even have to subscribe. But please please answer the question in your own head. You don't have to comment either. Just be positive, be nice, and 阿弥陀佛。